Okay. Oof. We really got to get people to learn to understand what they're reading, that things can be changed, okay? But when it comes to linguistics, okay, um, when things are said, okay, if they're taken out of context, historical events are taken out of context. When they're turned into mythology, you cannot believe that that's going to come to fruition. Okay. Now, in the Bible, like when you read the Book of Revelation, okay, it talks. It's a man writing down in a cave, describing future events that are going to happen that are actually based on reality. Okay, they're not fantasy. People saw them as fantasy, like in the Quran where it talks about in the belly of a bird. It's talking about traveling in an airplane. Okay, there's a man named Muhammad who talks to someone like himself in the future, someone related to him and like him, so that talks about traveling across the world, across the oceans in an airplane. Okay. And so it's perceived, and it's the translation. Okay. When someone translates it, they don't know what an airplane is. Okay. And so it comes out as the travels in the belly of a bird. All right. And so you'll get lots of things like that, like the beast in the book of Daniel, the tanks and the different things and the vehicles that they talk about in the book of Daniel. And so in the book of Daniel, it translates from people that translate say it seems like it's mythology, okay, but in reality it's like, okay, they're talking about tanks and vehicles and things like that. So um uh, linguistics are very important to understand linguistics, very understand language, and that when you're looking at books, okay, that were written down by corporations with dialogue that was left for one another to help each other through this hell, help information, and basically to verify and validate information. Okay, do you understand? All right, and so that's what the writings are all about. And it says in all the books that when the writings are corrupted by the people that are not the source of faithful communication, that the word becomes flesh and the living word corrects what people have done right. It's in the Bible. David does it with the Sadducees and the Pharisees. Jesus does it with the Sadducees and the Pharisees and stuff. So do you guys understand? Okay. That the word becomes flesh. The word is flesh. It's not written on paper. You can't write it down, turn it into a comic book. Everybody agrees that the comic book is real, and then it's real. Okay. It's the real people. Okay. Jesus came and corrected all the fallacy of the Sadducees and the Pharisees because he was the living word. David y también. Moses y también. ¿Tú entiendes? Okay. So it's not hard to understand my existence and to understand what's going on in the world today. And in the Michael Youssef, I tell you, in the first heaven, Jesus will not be there. It's supposed to be this guy that they say looks like the artist, physically resembles the artist representations of Jesus and John. Okay. There's artist representations of John, okay, in Russian Orthodox churches and Greece and all that. And he looks like the artist representations of Jesus, okay. You have a certain face, and it has with the hair and the beard and stuff. I didn't always have a beard. I usually had like a goatee. My culture was different than theirs. I was not raised in the same culture. Okay, and so I had different hair and stuff, and it's hard to keep long hair when you're chemically poisoned. Jesus and John were not in places where they had chemical poisoning from industrial revolution and stuff like that. So they didn't have the same health issues that I have to deal with today. Job had health issues he had to deal with because people were doing horrible things. So, but he recovered, and so Job. That's not one of my favorite books. No, I Job is one of my favorite people, but the story of his life is excruciating. That's a hard one to connect to. It's a hard one to. When John, when they kidnapped my kids here back in 2012. And I sat in that recliner and just cried for 2 days. And that's when me and John had our big talks. And he was talking to someone in the future, and I was going through my personal hell, and he was going through his. And in a lot of ways, his was probably worse. I don't know. At that time, they had the people that impulse people with technology, shoot Michelle execution style for standing up for me to scare everybody away from what I was doing. My mom was killed by the cancer industry to make it seem like Barack Obama was going to be my best friend. I had my fair share of miserable. We're not comparing scars and shit like that, but you get a lot of these people. You didn't have to go through things that were as rough as other people. I was like, yeah, no, I didn't go to the Hanoi Hilton because I wasn't an asshole who trained to fly a plane and drop bombs on human beings. Okay. I'm intelligent enough like John to avoid that kind of shit. Okay, John didn't go around killing people for the crown. Okay. I have the ability to protect people physiologically better than anybody in my generation in the United States of America. Okay? I didn't go to the Hanoi Hilton because I wouldn't use those physical abilities to kill people for corporations, asshole. They've punished me and abused me and sexually compromised and abused my family to make me feel inadequate because I wouldn't get up and kill people for the Rockefeller Foundation. I'm not proud of that, but I'm proud of me. That movie, And There Will Be Blood with Daniel Day-Lewis, okay? That's based on the attitude of John Davison Rockefeller, the attitude of him. The actual physical activities and stuff, I would sincerely doubt it. Unless he had like real pussy faces in his family, but as far as John Davison Rockefeller is more the type of person that paid people to do his dirty work, to beat their head into the ground of a bowling alley with a bowling pin. He didn't usually do his dirty work his own damn self, unless it was somebody in his family that was so wimpy that he knew he could beat the fuck out of him. Okay. But as far as do his dirty work on his own with people that he thought he couldn't handle, he had somebody else do it. Somebody else that appreciated the fact that Rockefeller had the connection and used the money so they could enjoy killing people, because that was the profession that they, like those idiots on that Tyler Sheridan Linus movie. These guys, it's what they do. We train killers there. They get off on it. They think they like it. Sick people think they like, people, Carl from The Cell. That's what he thought he liked. Taking the girls and embalming them and hanging himself in the ceilings, having sex with their dead bodies. He thought he liked it. Kind of like Tyler Sheridan writing those scripts about Linus. He thinks he likes it. Like the guys who write the scripts for Sicario, The Soldado. Okay? They think they like it. It's fun. Life would be boring without doing such amazing forms of entertainment. Okay? Forgive debt and trespass, love one another, eternal faithful peace. Okay. It doesn't matter what you think. It doesn't matter what you want. Okay. This is a different time and era than the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, the persecution of John, the disgustingness of the Vatican's attack on Saladin, the Ark of the Covenant, the disgustingness of the League of Nations and the United Nations ignoring and abuse of the restoration of the Gospels of Haile Selassie and Judah Krishnamurti and D.T. Suzuki. Okay? D.T. Suzuki was able to take religious teachings, read the books, understand where the validity was and where the mythology was mistranslated by the people that were not living them, and then explained it to people. Okay? Yeah, he did. Okay? He was what you would refer to, I guess, as an expert at it, because he was a source of those faithful communications. So he could sit and meditate and talk to the people that were the people in the books. And then he could sit and say, here's what they're doing wrong, and here's how they're getting it wrong, and here's how they're going to get it wrong. They never released that information. And if they had that information on video, those videos were destroyed. And if they had that information written down in books, those books were destroyed too. You're not very Japanese, are you? It's just Adolf Hitler with the book burning and turning Strauss into a German instead of a Jew. Dum da 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 dum 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 dum. Same shit they did with Haile Selassie. Okay, but you're wrong. Doesn't have that information about Haile Selassie. I'm right about Haile Selassie. Your history books are full of shit, and the people that have turned Haile Selassie into their god for tribalism, for cult sex warfare, they're full of shit too. They could be my own family gets bought into the bullshit. Okay, so I was expecting the Marleys to be different, but they're not. Well, they were like my first, second cousins, so what can I expect? Bob told them, he said, "Man, money can't save you. So when the man comes, you're gonna have to give everything you think you have away that you've worked for and follow him." What happened? They didn't listen. A lot of kids don't listen to their parents. My son doesn't listen to his. Okay, both my sons. My kids don't listen to me, and I'm the Messiah. Okay, maybe I could get Denzel Washington to talk to him. Coach Will Smith. Denzel said. I used to have to do that with Steffi. I used to have to go tell my mom, and then my mom would talk to Steffi, and Steffi would come back to me with this great idea. And I was, cool, let's do that. All right, awesome. Yeah, it worked. Mom passed away. Didn't work anymore. Shit. It was great when Mom was around. I could just say, "Hey, Mom, this is a great idea." She'd talk to Steffi about it. Steffi'd come back to me with this great idea, and then we'd get things done, just as long as it wasn't my idea. Yeah. So, when people disrespect the Messiah because they're selfish and they're cowardly, it's hard for the Messiah to get people to live the Lord's Prayer, even with worldwide integrated technology and social media. I need to kick your ass. If I didn't I love you. I'm going to keep kicking your ass until you live in the Lord's Prayer. That's just the way it is. Some things will never change. All right.